All right, I'm going to dial up Mr. Steve Vai right now. Now, if you are listening along, don't try to steal his phone number because I don't even know if this is his or if this is somebody else's, but we're calling up Steve Vai. We're going to see how this goes.
Hello.
Hello, is this Steve?
This is Steve.
Steve, it's Ethan. How you doing, brother?
Good. How you doing, Ethan?
I am fantastic, my friend. Thanks for taking the time to call ahead of a show that is already just kicking ass all over the place.
Yeah, really nice.
I bet it is. I mean, I'm looking at the run, and you got sold out shows in like over 50% of the cities you're playing, at least so far.
Yeah, it was amazing when the tickets went on sale. Most of the shows sold out in like a day. It was a stunner.
Here in the Florida area, you're going to be in Orlando at the Hard Rock Live on the 27th, and then Ruth Eckerd Hall in Clearwater on the 28th. And I got to tell you, I've been to both, and Ruth Eckerd Hall, it's definitely got much better catering, so you're in for a treat there.
Yeah, that's a fantastic venue. It's always nice when you're on tour and you get to a place like that. I just played there not too long ago with Satriani. It's great.
Yeah, I remember. I think I talked to you a little bit before that gig, and last time I'd spoken to Steve Lukather, he was like, oh, man, Ruth Eckerd Hall, they've won awards for their backstage catering, so everybody remembered it.
It's amazing. They rock.
So, first of all, you're out there on the Beat Tour celebrating the music of King Crimson with Adrian Belew, Danny Carey, and Tony Levin. Why is it called the Beat Tour, other than the fact that they had an album named that, but they had many albums? So why was it called the Beat Tour?
Well, very interestingly, when Adrian Belew wanted to kind of celebrate this music of the 80s King Crimson, of course he approached Robert Fripp, who, is King Crimson, along with the others, but really the father of it all. And he kind of bowed out to do it. He's got some other things going on. And but of course we wanted his blessing. I wasn't really going to partake in this thing if Robert wasn't good about it. And not only was he so supportive, he suggested the name Beat, because the other records, Discipline, that wasn't quite a great title for the band, and Three of a Perfect Pair is kind of taken, but Beat was a great name, and that's how we got it.
And it's so simple and easy to recognize and sell out. So
yeah, and the logo is brilliant.
Yeah, it is.
Elephant. Yeah.
Speaking of Robert Fripp, have you followed him and his wife's Toya's videos on YouTube? Because those two go crazy.
Oh, man, they are hilarious. They are fantastic. I watch them all the time.
I watched one earlier. They were doing a Rammstein song, and I was like, holy crap, these guys are just fun.
Yeah, they really are. They know how to enjoy life.
So, obviously, Adrian Belew, obvious choice for the band. Tony Levin, who was pulled in by Robert Fripp later on, another obvious choice for the band. So how did you, and then a little bit later, Danny Carey, get called in to do this?
Well, Adrian had called me before the pandemic, and I was really interested in it. But then once that hit, we were all in lockdown. And then during lockdown, I made Inviolate, and I needed to tour that. And I took 2 years to tour. And so Adrian was waiting for me for like 4 years, and which was a stunner for me because, there's Robert Fripp's guitar parts are pretty challenging. I mean, I actually don't know anybody that could play them like him. And they're very particular. He's a master of discipline and innovation with his picking technique and just his mathematical mind with notes, and the way that those guys have brought those notes together and all these polymetric formulas. It's just fantastic. So it's not an easy lift. And Adrian felt I could do this. And when he mentioned it to Robert actually said he's the only one that can do it.
Oh, wow.
Now, I know that nobody can do it like Robert. I know that. I haven't seen that. And he has students that can play that stuff. And, I know a couple of guys that can probably play it, but not like Robert. I can't play it like Robert. I had to take certain sections and, figure out ways to respect the notes. But, within my abilities and limitations, So it really kicked my ass, learning these parts and putting them together. But it's so much fun. It's so rewarding because when you're on that stage and everything's locking with those beautiful melodies, it's just it's like heaven in a cup.
That was one of my other questions here. When you've got musicians as talented as all four of you are, getting the songs down to where you're playing them well is the easy part. The hard part is when you four guys finally are locked into the grooves of the songs together and you're feeling it with each other and not thinking about it. So how long did it take Adrian and Tony locked in before because they played together many times before. How long did it take for all four of you to just look at each other and go, that's it, we're here?
Well, it was a long process in that I started working on this stuff 5 months before we hit rehearsals. When I go into a rehearsal, I want to be 100% prepared. And I was. And everybody, those guys had the music for sure, but they were also touring a lot and doing other things. So the rehearsals were valuable for all of us. And at first, when you're in rehearsals with this kind of music, it's like, what's going to happen here?
Yeah.
And we started and we worked really hard and it started to come together beautifully. But there's always that, difference that happens when the lights go down and you're on the stage. Everything changes, so there's a second hurdle to get over. And when we finished rehearsals, we were pretty locked, a couple of rough edges. And once we did the first show, we got that out of the way. The stress level is reduced, and then it starts opening up. And when it starts opening up on tour, it turns into real music, real connection with each other, connection with the audience. There's an ease, there's a flow, and usually it takes a couple of weeks on tour to really get into that. But we hit that on like the fifth, sixth show. And it's fantastic at this point. We got it.
With as intricate as the King Crimson songs are on literally every single instrument's part, is there any time that you guys give each other on stage to sort of stretch out and breathe a little bit? Do you have like just a random jam session towards the end outside of the King Crimson stuff, or are you just sticking to what like Fripp put together in the records?
Well, you want to find a good balance of it all. So first and foremost, you want to respect the music and the notes. So that's first. And then, there's little sections where we connect on improv. Not very much, that's part of the opening up process. But, there is opportunities for everybody during the show to really shine. I mean, when you see Danny doing his drum solo, it's like it becomes very obvious.
Oh, he gets a solo. Holy cow, that's got to be so much fun to watch.
Oh, my God, I watch it every night. I can hardly get to my next part. I'm just so stunned. And Tony, just his sound and his note choices, they're just like this beautiful bed that you can just lay in for the whole show. It fills your ears so nicely. And Adrian just continues to stun me, he is like the one alone, what he does on the guitar. There's nobody even that is remotely in that neighborhood. So it's so fun to watch him when he does his thing. And everybody together just really complements each other. I mean, these guys, they're total pros. I mean, they've been around for a long time doing this. So you get to that magic spot pretty quick, and it's great.
I've gotten to see Tool live. I believe it's just been the one time. And Tool is a band that Danny Carey is in, not a band to stop and allow people to do solos and stuff. So watching a Danny Carey solo has got to be just one of the coolest things, because that guy, he's doing like 15/16 beats, and outside of Mike Portnoy, there's nobody else who could have done this King Crimson stuff than Danny Carey with those kind of rhythms and time signatures.
Yeah, he has that rhythm inside of him where he can split his attention and be able to do these polymetric things and polyrhythms that are just, they sound natural, but they're artistic and they're just powerful. I mean, the guy's totally connected.
He's probably one of the very few out there that could do 4 completely different beats, one with each one of his limbs, and maybe like banging his head on a cymbal for a 5th one or something.
Yeah, I've seen him do it. I've seen him do it at Tool concerts, too.
Speaking of Tony Levin, a lot of people don't realize there was a Peter Gabriel song, I think it was Big Time, that he actually essentially invented a new way of playing the bass where you get this sort of slap bass sound, but it's using these almost like drumsticks on your fingers. And so I was thinking, if he had some of those, and did you bring Hydra out on the road, and then he could play part of Hydra with you, and you guys are just both going on one machine?
Well, I left the Hydra home for this tour. But Tony does wear his stick fingers, and it's amazing because the snap that you get from the note when you tap is just undeniable, and he's a master of it. It's funny to watch, too.
I'd heard it, and I was watching a video, I think it was just last week, that I didn't even realize that came from, that's where that Peter Gabriel bass sound that he invented was from.
Sledgehammer, too.
Yeah.
He's all over Sledgehammer.
I was also watching something else for you. This is pretty cool. Seen a ton of stuff online over the last few years from Positive Grid, the gear company, and they've been making lunchbox amps, specifically the Spark Minis. You now have your own Steve Vai Spark Mini amp out. Yeah.
You know, when you're on tour, it's always good to have something, that you can plug into and just play, and hear. And I've always had these little boxes that kind of, you got to put the earphones in, and then you got to fiddle around with digital buttons and everything. But when I tried this little Spark Mini, I just loved it. It's small. It has infinite sounds, and you hear it. You plug in and you play, and it sounds great. And I got like 3 of them. I was keeping one backstage, one on the bus, and one in my luggage. Even though they're easy to carry around, it's nice to just have it there. And I just fell in love with it. And then the company contacted me, and I thought, we can put a little spin on this. So we got that one coming out, the Vai Mini. And for guitar players, I only endorse things that I find value in, that get me excited. And that, oddly enough, is one of the things that gets me excited, a really good portable guitar amp.
Well, yeah, finding something that small that actually has a decent tone was sort of non-existent until some of the digital modeling and technology caught up with the size.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I'll have to check it out when it gets released, see if I can go plug one in somewhere and take it for a spin.
If you're a guitar player, it's just so nice. It's just plug and play, the end.
There you go. That's all you need, right?
Yeah.
I was reading something else, and there's like a tiny little aside at the bottom of your Wikipedia that says you're a beekeeper?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been a beekeeper for 25 years now. It was a simple little hobby. We moved into this house that was vacant for 10 years, so the property was, dead. And we were looking to do something to bring it to life, and I just discovered that bees are great pollinators, and they make honey.
Yeah.
It's a great little hobby. So I've had colonies for decades now.
Wow, and all the free honey, it's got to be just coming out of your ears or something.
Oh, you can't believe how much honey they make. It's unbelievable. One year, I had 7 colonies, and we did a honey harvest, and I got over 600 pounds of liquid honey.
Holy cow.
Yeah, you can float a battleship in this.
You're sending it to all your family for the holidays, and they're like, okay, can I get something else for next Christmas?
No, you're getting a jar of honey.
Now, I'm assuming you're got to get all dolled up in the beekeeper suits because the last thing you need is a sting on a finger where you're trying to play your guitar.
This is true. Although the temperament of the hive is based on the temperament of the queen. So if you have a queen that grew up in a rough neighborhood, you got to be real careful. But a lot of the colonies they're very gentle, especially if you have an Italian queen, because you can send away for different queens. And I sent away for Italian queens because they're bred for their Gentile nature and their honey making capacity, and they're amazing. I mean, you can go in without a suit, you can pick them up with your hands. But they make tomato sauce. I can't get them to make honey.
You just got to make sure that you don't end up with one of those bees from the hood or around Skid Row down there in the L.A. area, because they might get a little rough, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want that.
Steve, thank you so much for taking the time, my friend. Can't wait to see you here with the King Crimson Beat Tour with everybody in the band. Always fun to talk to you, buddy, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to being there.
Have a good one, my friend.
Thanks.